Hello. Hello. This video was recorded before we went into lockdown, and some of the things that I say in this video have been changed, so I've decided to co-host this video myself now in lockdown alongside myself pre-lockdown to help you understand how some of the things that I said then are not quite true and not quite accurate for this time now in lockdown. And just to help you understand how some of those things have changed slightly, it will make sense as we go along. So in this video, I want to talk about live streaming. This is another video that I'm making in response to the coronavirus situation. And again, just kind of keeping an eye on social media and what's happening on social media at the minute. Loads of churches are all looking to live streaming. I think it makes a lot of sense at the minute because there's all this possibility that churches are going to not be able to meet, or if they can meet, they're going to be very low on numbers as more and more people are self-isolating, keeping themselves away from church, keeping themselves away from each other. To be able to live stream a service into people's homes so that they can still keep in touch with the church and to keep in touch with what's going on and what's being said without having to leave their homes is really useful at this time. So live streaming makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this is obviously one of the things that's changed fairly significantly. Churches are now not allowed to meet at all. Most of us are not going into the buildings at all. We have no gatherings happening. So this isn't something I'd really recommend at this point. Now, the big thing to say here, first of all, is that whatever you're doing right now, my main recommendation is that you carry on doing it. So if you are live streaming from home and your congregation are able to get hold of that and it's all working for you, then that's fine. Just keep doing that. There's no point in changing anything at this stage. And likewise, if you're doing a pre-record and that's working for you, again, just stick with what you're doing. That's the main thing at the minute. Congregations are able to get to whatever you're doing, and most people have managed to sort something out. So just keep doing that. Live streams make much more sense when you're doing it with some kind of a team, worship team, preachers, that kind of stuff, and a congregation in a church building. When you can get all those people back together again in your building, then you can look at a live stream. If you're just doing it from your home, then probably a pre-recorded service is going to make more sense for you at this stage. However, as lockdown starts to ease up, which it will do at some point, we're going to be able to start getting small groups back into church buildings, and maybe then some of what we're about to say is going to be a lot more helpful for you at that point. And so in the remainder of this video, what we're going to look at is what equipment do you need to be able to make your live stream happen? And we're going to be looking more now at when we come out of lockdown. So I'm going to hand back over to pre-lockdown Ben, who's going to take us through the equipment we need to make this happen. These days, the technology is very much there that we can do this quite quickly and easily with either with what you already have or with very minimal cost, very minimal extra stuff that you might need. You could probably put a live stream together pretty quickly and pretty easily. Now, I might give some of this information out over a couple of videos because there are a few things that you need to know that are worth just spending a bit of time over. But in this video, I'm just going to talk about the kind of basic building blocks, the bits of kit that you need to make this happen, to make this work. There are a number of ways that you can do this to make a live stream happen, and really depending on your situation and the equipment that you have and the time that you want to put into this is going to depend as to how quickly and easily you can put this together and what is the best way for you to do this. So what you need to be able to do a live stream is just a camera and an audio feed to be streamed up to whichever platform you choose to use. I'm just going to talk you through 3 simple ways that you can make a live stream happen depending on the quality and the level that you want to go to with this. Some of them are really easy, some of them are a bit more complicated, but will give you a better result. So you just need to pick what level you want to go at this at. So the first and easiest way to do a live stream in your church is literally to take a mobile phone. These obviously have built-in cameras, and modern mobile phones, the cameras are pretty good, and it has an audio feed. It's got its own microphones and things built in, so the audio's all there anyway. So this is just a kind of stick it on a stand, press go, and off you go solution. There's very little else that you need to do with something like this to make that work. You can buy a little clamp that will just attach to a tripod. Stick your phone into the clamp, set your tripod up, go to Facebook or YouTube or whichever platform you're going to use, press go live, and off you go, and it will do the business for you. So that's probably the quickest and easiest way to do a live stream without any extra hassle and fuss. Generally, there's going to be somebody around with a smartphone, and you could just do it that way. Downsides of using a smartphone are the cameras generally are fairly wide angled, which means in order to get a useful shot, you probably have to put the camera quite close to the stage. So you might have to have a tripod just in front of your stage with your phone on it, which is a bit annoying, but it's probably the best way to get that. And also, you're not going to be getting the best audio, although it will be okay. It won't be the best because it will just be picking up the sound off the microphone on the phone, which, as I say, it'll be okay, but it won't be amazing. So if you want to step up to the next level, you'll need a couple of bits of equipment to make this work, but it will give you a slightly better result. So the second way that you can do a live stream is to use something like a webcam. So something like this is fine. They have little mounting points on the bottom where you can attach to a tripod again. So you can stick this onto a tripod, position it where you need it, and then you've just got a USB cable which will plug into a laptop. You can then also take an audio feed from your PA system, so whatever microphone and things you'll be using for your PA system in the building, you can then feed that into your laptop. So you've got your camera and your audio feed going into a laptop, and then from there you can take it through a piece of software that I'd recommend called OBS, and that allows you to build up some kind of a stream that you can then push out onto a platform. And at this point it's worth just understanding a little bit about how the streaming process works, just to make sure you've got all the right bits of equipment in place. This is where it gets a little bit more technical, is when you start putting these external devices in. So what you need, as I say before, you have a camera and an audio input device, so some kind of a microphone that could be going through your PA system, but it could be, as I say, just like a built-in microphone into a phone or something like that. Now, if you're going to go through something like a laptop, what you would do is you go into some software called OBS, as I say, is the one that I would recommend. And OBS allows you to bring in a camera and an audio feed, and you can choose which camera and audio feed you're going to use. Sometimes if you're using a laptop, they'll have a built-in webcam, so you could use that if you wanted to, but it probably wouldn't be the best camera. I would go with something external, something like this. So you can choose those cameras that you want, but you can also have a couple of web cameras. So if you want to have a couple of angles, you can set those up, and OBS can create scenes that you can then choose, and you can choose which shot you want to go for, whether you have a close-up shot or a wide shot or a side shot or whatever it might be. And you can pair any of those camera angles with the same audio feed, so you can keep the one microphone into your current PA system, feed that into your laptop, and then whichever camera angle you switch to, the audio will stay the same. So you keep using the same audio, but just change your camera angle. So it gives you a bit more flexibility and a bit more interest. You can make the shot look a lot more interesting. You can produce something that people will be more inclined to watch, and it will just be more helpful for people to be able to watch something of that nature, rather than just one static camera, which can become a little bit boring to watch, and people probably won't engage quite so well with that. So you get the flexibility of being able to add multiple cameras, multiple angles, and be able to feed that through to your streaming platform. Now, if it would be helpful at some point, I might be able to put together a tutorial video on how to use OBS. So if that's something that you're interested in and maybe going towards a live stream and how that would work, let me know, and I can try and put together some quick tutorials on OBS and how to sort of set all that stuff up. The final thing then that you need to know is which platform you're going to stream to. So with something like OBS, you would just stream to one platform, and you need to choose which of those platforms that you want to go for. Now, the big two that I would recommend is going to be either Facebook or YouTube. There are loads of platforms that you could choose, and you could stream to any of them, and they all have pros and cons, and there's advantages and disadvantages to everything. But for most people, I would say look at either Facebook or YouTube. The advantage of both those two platforms is that lots of people use them, and you may already have a church Facebook page which has got quite a number of followers, and so therefore it might make sense for you to stream to Facebook. YouTube generally tends to give you a slightly better quality video, so if you want to have something that's higher quality, then maybe YouTube might be better. The other advantage to YouTube is that you don't need an account to necessarily go on and watch it. So if you're not somebody who has Facebook, if you have people in your church who don't use Facebook, without having a Facebook account, without being able to log into Facebook, they're going to struggle to find your stream. Whereas YouTube, Anybody can go onto it. You don't need to have an account to sign in. You can just go onto the YouTube website, find a stream and start watching it. So it's kind of more accessible in that sense. And particularly if you've got older people in your congregation who don't have Facebook accounts, don't use Facebook, but still want to be able to access this, then YouTube might be a good option to look at because it will just give you that freedom to be able to do that. The other thing that OBS allows you to do is, as well as streaming, you can also record video. So you could record what you're putting out as a live stream and then post it to a platform later. So if you choose to live stream to Facebook, you could also record the video and then upload the recording to YouTube later on. So although it won't be a live stream, they would get the same content, just a little bit delayed. So rather than it being at that actual time when you're delivering it, it will just be an hour or so later on. And that also will allow you to post to multiple sites. So you could post to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, Twitter, whatever you want to. Obviously, depending on the video length, certain platforms are going to be happier with longer videos than others. So you have your camera, your audio input fed into OBS connected through to whichever platform you're going to stream to. And then when you're ready to actually do your stream, you hit start streaming in OBS and that will send the signal through to your streaming platform. And then you go over into your platform, and then when you're ready to actually go live, you need to hit go live in that platform, whichever one it might be that you've chosen to go to. And then that principle is then scaled up again. So if you then want to go to something even bigger and even better, because the downside of this system is that webcams still are very wide angled. So you're still going to need to have this on a tripod right in front of your platform. It's going to be quite annoying for anybody in the building having a camera just right in front of the stage. So it's still not the most ideal scenario, but you might already have a webcam kicking around. So it's something that you could do that's a step up from a phone without actually any cost or any expense. If you've got something like this just kicking around somewhere, then you can probably make this happen pretty quickly and pretty easily. But if you do want to go up to the next step again, it's the same principles as I say. So still camera, still audio input device. We're still going to feed through into OBS and then connect OBS up to our platform, whichever one we're going to go for. However, when we scale this up this time, what we're going to go for is some kind of higher quality camera. So you could use something like a DSLR. You could also use a dedicated video camera. So if you've got some sort of dedicated video camera, then you could use that. If you don't have any of those things, it could be an investment for you. You could look at buying into something like that, which will allow you to do your live streams and do them well. But it's also something that going forwards, once this coronavirus issue has gone, there is still the potential of churches being able to use a video camera for making videos and continuing with live streaming and all that kind of stuff. So it's something that you could still keep using beyond this as well. So if you wanted to look at investing into some kind of a camera, then maybe that's a sensible way forward for you at this stage, but that's a decision that you'll need to make. However, we do need to add in an extra little box. With our webcam, we had a USB input which allowed us just to plug that straight into a laptop. With things like DSLRs and video cameras, they don't generally just have a USB output that you can plug straight in. So you need to be able to convert normally from HDMI or possibly a signal called SDI. You need to take one of those two feeds and then be able to convert that to something that we can then plug into a laptop. So the other piece of equipment that you might need is either some kind of graphics card into a computer, or there's a great little box made by a company called Blackmagic which allows you to feed, I think it takes HDMI inputs, and you could put up to 4 HDMI inputs, so you could have 4 cameras, up to 4 cameras, and then you can do live switching between those cameras as you're going through. So again, you can have multiple camera angles, and it gives us a USB output that we can connect into our computer. As far as the laptop's concerned, it would be essentially seeing a webcam image coming in, although we'd have all the advantages of the much higher quality image from a proper camera, as well as the ability to be able to zoom in and out, so we could move the camera further away and just zoom in with the lens. And so it just allows us to take the web stream up to the next level again, so we can go to something that's really quite good quality, quite professional quality looking, and something that would be the most accessible for as many people as possible in and around the church and your local community. So as I say, that's the principles of live streaming. That's kind of how it works. That's the bare bones look at this. If you want more details on things like OBS, I can put a video tutorial about how to use OBS together so you can see how that works. Or if you want any other information about live streaming or anything else that you could do as a church, then please just get in touch, let me know. I'll be happy to talk that through with you. Once again, I hope this has been helpful. Please share this with anybody who you think might find this information helpful or useful, and keep in touch. Communication is so important at the minute, and it's really good that we can kind of keep communication through things like email or Facebook or whatever platform works for you. Keep in touch, let me know what you're doing, how you're responding to the situation. Any tips and advice that you have would be really great, and I will see you in the next video.